Would you say you're losing some sort of motivation to play because that's you're not able to get better, or you're saying that as far as not being able to get better, you don't see what you're doing wrong, and or maybe you can maybe see it, but you're not able to do it in real time, and you're not having like that autopilot shift that you're looking for. Like if you were to try and sum it up and say, I guess here you gave me a bit of the history, but what do you what are you trying to accomplish from, I guess, coming and talking to me?
Yeah, so I think the motivation is very linked to improvement for me. And I guess the main problem I'm having is I feel like I know what I'm doing wrong. I know what I need to work on at my level in particular, but everything I've tried to sort of like practice it and then try to put it into play just really hasn't been sticking. Yeah, I guess I feel like I have the opposite problem with a lot of players who I meet who I feel like they don't do well in bracket and say, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Whereas in my case, I feel like I know exactly what I'm doing wrong, but haven't been able to find a practice method that works for me. So I guess my goal for today is like if I can leave with a way or like a practice regimen or something that I could do to or just try for the next few months, like that'd be amazing. I feel like a lot of the matches that I lose, I sort of lose the same way. Which is why it's been sort of discouraging because I think if I was losing to players every week but learning something after every match, like I'd be extremely happy with that. But I'm sort of in this position where I'm like, oh, I'm getting punished for this habit, which I know I've had for months, or I'm
Okay.
not capitalizing on this opening that I know this opponent has had for months, and as a result, I feel like I'm getting the same information every week, and it doesn't. Yeah, it's been kind of hard to use. I guess in terms of mains, I'm playing Marth and Peach right now.
Okay.
I have a lot more fun playing Peach. I sort of took Martha as like my eat my vegetables character to sort of learn the game, which I think in terms of learning the game, I do get kind of bored playing Martha sometimes, but I feel like I've learned a lot from playing the character.
I'm just trying to think because like with Peach, you can lose to yourself playing Peach if you're dropping combos consistently. She's very floaty, so if you don't have a good disadvantage, you just get juggled forever. So there is that side of
Yeah.
things. But would you say when you're losing to people that you're getting gimmicked, or would you say that you're getting outplayed?
I think I'm getting outplayed. Like there are moments where I do get gimmick, but I know what the gimmick they're going for is, and I still fall for it. So I think that's on me as the player.
And when you're getting outplayed, do you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, or you feel like you're losing to nerves, and I guess your organic play style or your natural instincts is just not up to where you think it should be, even though your mind is telling you to do things, your hands are just not listening?
I think it's mostly that last point. So I guess I've started reading the inner game of tennis for
Okay.
this because one of the advice that top players have given me is that like, they're saying like I know what to do in the situation. I just need to rely on my autopilot. But then I feel like my autopilot is not strong enough to adapt.
Okay.
So I guess like for example, just this last bracket I played a solo pyro player who kept punishing my dash back and my shield. And in my head it was as simple as like spot dodge when he approaches, I know he's gonna grab. And I never spot dodged a single grab the entire game. It ended up costing me the game, I think.
And you were playing Peach at the time or Marth?
That game I played Peach.
Okay, I was gonna say right there. So as far as Peach versus Pyra, unless you are a phenomenally good Peach and your flow cancels are out of this world, I wouldn't even say you're actually getting outplayed. You're getting out giant sworded more than anything, man.
Right.
So here's the thing about this game, and I've talked about this in the past as well. The game is balanced, but it's not fair. The characters are balanced all in their own way, but to say that you can just play any character you want and have a fair, even matchup with somebody else, it's like, no, your character is balanced in a vacuum amongst themselves, right? Characters that have crazy combos mostly don't have kill throws, so it's not like, okay, I could hit you or grab you and you're gonna just die, right? And then also characters that have crazy range typically are quite slow, or very strong characters are very slow,
Right.
or very fast characters are very small and light. So they're balanced, but a character like Pyra with a gigantic sword, she can just kill you out of nowhere, versus a character like Peach, who is quite slow and floaty. She's below mid-weight. She's not like super light, but
Right.
she's definitely not like heavy. So if you're, let's say, trying to float and do what you want to do, and as the Pyro, they're just doing rising fair or rising back here or rising there in front of you, and you're getting, in quotations, outplayed, that's not really the truth. I would say try to remove yourself from the situation as far as saying you're losing to someone who's genuinely better than you because they're playing in a certain way as a certain character, and it's just working. And a lot of those times
Right.
it is character versus character, more so than player versus player, unless of course you're playing at a super high level. So for example, like, yeah, if you're talking like MK Leo, he's getting away with beating a lot of people with any character realistically because it's MK Leo, right?
Right.
But other players couldn't do that because they're losing as the character because the player themselves is not quite good enough, unfortunately. As far as overcoming a matchup, I would say maybe at the absolute top levels of play, a Peach player could beat a solo Pyra or a Pyramithra player because they would not be dropping combos, they would not be dropping edge guards, they'd be punishing unsafe things on shield, they would know the frame data, they would have ridiculously good spacing with their float. So it's possible to do, but if you're someone who's like, let's say, not learning the game, but learning the mechanics of a character that is quite complex, and now you're mixing that with a character that almost hard punishes you based on just fundamentals alone, it's going to feel like an an uphill battle forever. Okay, so I would say first things first, try not to be super hard on yourself as far as saying this is impossible or whatever it might be, because you could also be playing a character that could hard counter, let's just say Pyra specifically. The character that could do that would be someone with ridiculous speed who can weave in and out of her burst zone, so if she ever swings and she happens to be wrong, you're right in her face getting a grab or a dash attack and knocking her off stage. Now she has to recover versus being able to like oppress you with range. So I'd say, like, you know, I'm not just saying like you have to pick a specific character to combat Pyra, but if you feel like, okay, I'm playing Peach and this person has like a way easier time winning, it's because also they're playing a much easier character.
Right.
Think about the popularity of characters as well too. There's a reason why characters like Ice Climbers are not very popular. It's because they're very difficult to play, and the skill floor even just to get into the character is, I'm not going to say impossible, but very, very difficult compared to playing like a character, I'll say like Roy, or I don't know, I'm just like the simplest character in the world, Wolf, Cloud, someone like that, Yoshi, right? So if you think, oh man, I suck, I play Ice Climbers and I can't win, it's like, well, who do you have to fight? It's like Yoshi, Game & Watch, Ness. It's like, well, what do you think? This isn't even fair, you know? It's not even you being bad. It's like, I've also compared this in the past to trying to, let's just say, playing Smash, or getting good at Smash, or trying to win games or sets in Smash, comparing it to trying to build a house with only one tool. And the one tool that you like is, let's say it's your favorite tool. You can't build a house with just a hammer or just a saw. And what I mean by that is, as far as trying to fight somebody, I'll say, I guess we could say the Pyra. If you're trying to fight with the wrong tools, and I know it's a little bit weird because in this situation, the house could be built in many different ways, but as far as trying to fight a Pyra player with the wrong tools, or the tools that are actually fighting against you, like being super floaty and super slow, you might be able to get the job done, but it's way easier to just use different tools. Right? With 89 characters in the game, even MKLeo pulls out the random Rob, right? Everyone is playing other characters too, and he didn't do that because he was bored, for example. It's not like, well, you know, I could have just played Joker and won. It's like, well, he chose who he chose for a reason. So if he thought like Byleth couldn't do it, or Corrin couldn't get in versus Proto Banham's Min Min, then that's probably why I chose Rob. Having a projectile that was actually a nuisance, or the item, I guess you could say as well, with the gyro. Much better recovery, so he doesn't get pranked out of existence by Ram Arm, right? So for yourself, I don't think, I've never seen you play, but based on what you're saying, and this also feeling of frustration, a lot of the times it's the tools that you're trying to work with more so than your own capabilities. And I've been going through the same thing just as a kind of aside with regards to playing League of Legends, and people suggesting to me playing as certain characters that are way too difficult, even if they're better than the character I want to play as. I get it long term that yes, if I grind out a super difficult character, I will be a much better player, and people will not be able to handle me because I'm just super good with a good character, but I suck. So why hinder myself, and I'm accidentally using the wrong attacks, and then I don't understand my range for my character, I don't know how fast my character is, I don't know my rate of fire, I don't know anything, so I'm just getting literally destroyed based on not knowing my own tools, or getting hard countered by someone that does know the matchup when I don't even know my own character. As far as feeling less frustrated, what I would say is picking, at least for the development phases for yourself, picking a less frustrating character. And I don't even mean a simpler character, well, simpler than Peach, but you don't have to go to the, in quotations, bottom of the barrel as far as simplicity and say, well, if you can't play Peach, you have to play Lucina. That's not what I'm saying. I think the next thing that you should ask yourself, or you can even answer this question right now, is within the game of Smash, besides obviously wanting to win, how do you want to win? Do you want to do combos? Do you want to attack out of shield? Do you want to use grabs? Do you want to have a good recovery so you can't get gimped? Do you want to have multiple jumps? Do you care about speed? Like, if you were to just almost Build-A-Bear a character and not put a name on them just yet, what are those things, or what qualities would you like in a character?
Yeah, so I think the two things I guess I play in Tri-State, so we're sort of like the home of zoners.
Okay.
So I did like Zelda at first, but then it sort of became like I hated these 7-minute games of just like running away and throwing things.
Yep.
So I think the part of the game I love the most is footsies. Like that's why I gravitated toward Peach more so than the combos. It's like this ability to have full control over the character's movement, and I like this part of like moving in ways to sort of force your opponent to make mistakes and then having them pay for it, versus like zoning or grabbing and stuff like that.
So I was gonna say, I have some suggestions. When you say footsies, what do you like about footsies? You like trying to go in and out of someone's burst range and have them make a mistake, then get in there and do something? Like, you want to be able to come down with a nair and get a down tilt and a crazy combo? Or do you want to just be able to get some sort of hard punish that's like, okay, now you're being ledge trapped because you messed up once?
I think more of like the burst range thing. So like, yeah, I guess the players that I love to watch the most are sort of like the Kazuya players in my scene, like the Falco players, the Roy players, who like they're not always swinging, but they're always moving, and like their movement makes their opponent do something even if they don't want to.
I was honestly about to suggest a Shoto for you because they are a
Gotcha.
character, like when you said Kazuya, it's like almost, if I say that Kazuya's a Shoto, I'll get canceled, so I'm not going to say it.
Right.
But as far as like Ken, Ryu, or Terry, or Kazuya, you could play any of those characters and have that satisfaction where you do have, I wouldn't say as much control as Peach with float, but at least with Kazuya, you have his, I can't remember what it's called. He has his dash, but it also has like auto turnaround. He has like his step back. He has all of his different tilts, right? He has crouch to rising tilts as well, like Demon God Fist. He has all these crazy combos, 0 to deaths. He's kind of on the floaty side as well too. So if you feel like at home with that, because Peach is also quite floaty, then there is that. The devastating presence that a character has, like a Shoto, where it's like you literally mess up once and your shield's broken, or you're dead, or you're being comboed till you're dead, basically.
Right.
As far as those things, I can say also there's a complexity there. So if you're someone who does enjoy being in the lab and you do like learning combos and going for block strings and trying to be the aggressor more so than the person that has to run away, playing a Shoto is exactly that, in my opinion. Playing a character like Ken or Ryu, unless you're fighting, I don't even know. I don't know who's a character that's scarier than Ken and Ryu that isn't Kazuya. I don't
know if there is one.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if you're fighting and you're walking towards someone slowly, maybe Roy, maybe Wolf at best, but most characters, they should be scared of you, right? We can talk about like heavies, but like they have to be piloted by someone who's very, very good for the person to actually be scared. If I see a DK or a Bowser, I don't really care, right? But if it's someone who plays like Ken, Ryu, Terry, or Kazuya, you better watch out, right? So if you're someone who wants to dictate the pace versus saying, well, this person's going to run away from me or this person's going to chase me, and if I have to have a chance, I can't like not run, I have to run away from them, then you might want to try a character like a Shoto. And like I'm just saying, because you have the background of playing Peach and you like the complexity and the free-flowing combos, you might actually like those characters more than you think. I don't know if you know this, but Ryu's Nair is -1 on shield. So
Yeah.
you can just do whatever you want. And then you can get block strings off of that. He has Collarbone Breaker, which can break shields. He has a frame 6 up B out of shield. With the true input, it literally kills at like 60 on some characters. Those are options where it's like, okay, if your opponent messes up, they don't think, oh, okay, I'll just like swing anyways because who cares? You also have focus. So if someone swings on you because they want to be crazy, you can just destroy them. That would be a suggestion, or one potential suggestion. Also, the other part of the game, so if you like footsies, let's say if you were to win neutral, get whatever hit you happen to get, are you someone who wants to go off stage? Do you want to set up traps? Do you want to chase your opponent super aggressively? How do you want to get your kills?
Yeah, I sort of alternate between two. So I really like set play. I guess like that's why I like Zelda and like Peach's turn-ups. But then the part of Lucina that I loved was the edge guarding as well. I guess like just like pressure and like understanding your opponent's options, the way I would work it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, because the Shotos just, they don't go off stage. Have you ever tried playing a Shoto before?
I have, yeah. I guess like the part that I liked about them too is like ledge trapping, because they have a lot of corner pressure as well.
Tons. Yeah, I was gonna say, would you consider yourself someone who actually wants to be technical? Because like I'm just basing that off the fact that you said you played Peach.
Like the technical part of the game is one part I really like. I mean, I built, I don't know if I wrote this down, but I built a controller to play Peach. I built my own box, just to like have everything be super precise. So it's like part of the game that I really love.
When you're competing, I'm just trying to think, what does your region look like? You said as far as you have a bunch of zoners, but what does that mean specifically?
Yeah, so I'm competing in, I guess, the greater New York area.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess there hasn't really been a week where like my round 1 or round 2 isn't something like a Belmont or a Min Min or a Samus. Like that's just like, if you don't run into one, or a Diddy Kong every week, like you're lucky.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess if our PR is like sort of, I guess, comical, like we have a Hero, Lucario, Wii Fit, Pac-Man. So it's very defensive play here, I would say, with the occasional Roy sprinkled here and there.
I guess that would be the other part for me as far as picking a different character other than Peach. You also want to think about your surroundings as well too. And a lot of players fall into this trap where it's like, okay, I'll just look at what a top player plays and I'll just play the same character as them, because if they can make it happen, I possibly can too. But I think the most important thing for you is first trying to dominate your own region, or at least stand a chance. So with those types of characters, like, yes, you could try and get it done with Shotos, but it's, once again, it might be a little on the slower side unless you are very, very confident at how to call out jumps or how to actually get in with them, and you're nailing your block strings and pushing people to the ledge. The other option, I would say, at least against like Wii Fit and Pac-Man, and then you said Samus too, and even Min Min, you could even go Fox. Honestly, I would say Fox could do quite well. Fox can be an absolute menace against Samus. You can absolutely smother Min Min as long as you're actually jumping in at the right time, because Min Min has a horrible blind spot at a 45-degree angle in front of her, so she has to jump like full hop to cover that. Her up B, like short hop up B off the ground, goes way too steep. She's never gonna do that, and like on the ground she can't tilt her ram arm up high enough to catch that. So if you did want to be the aggressor, once again, Fox could actually be a good option there too. A lot simpler than Shoto's as well. Doesn't really go off stage. Like, he can go for like a soft nair here and there, and like soft nair against Min Min is also hilarious. You could just tap her away for free. Wii Fit, you have your reflector. Samus, same thing. If your reflector, you can rush them down basically for free. If they mess up at all, you're right up on top of them. They have the complexity of the combos as well too.
Yeah, I guess the one thing about characters that sort of made me not want to switch. I guess like when I first played Zelda, I was having mild success, but I felt like I knew so much about my own character, but didn't know anything about the game, and was sort of like, if my game plan of like set up Phantom didn't work, I just ended up losing. And I think one of the things that sort of gets me about switching character to sort of fix the problem, and like maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, is I do feel like in some of my round ones and round twos, like I am playing zoners and they are playing annoying, but they have a very, like, I know what their game plan is and I know what they're trying to go for, and they often don't do that many mix-ups. It's not until like the later rounds where I think players are more actively mixing things up, but it's even those early rounds where I'm still struggling to, even when I see what the whole, or like how to break the zone, I'm sort of unable to do it.
So would you say it boils down a little bit to patience, where it's like, could you, like, you want to feel like for once in your life someone actually wants to fight you versus just run away? Would that be...
I think I'm okay with people running. I think it's a sort of self-frustration of, like, I guess seeing a situation and being like, I've seen the situation before, I know that Belmont wants to do this, and I know that this guy is a blind spot here. And even with that information in my head, always failing to execute in friendlies or in bracket matches.
Okay, so that would almost be two things, at least for me. It sounds like not trusting yourself when you actually have a read, or struggling to get into flow state because you're overanalyzing the situation and then hesitating because of that. I would say getting into flow state is not an easy thing to do, at least in tournament, unless you're someone who competes a lot. You said you compete like 2 to 4 times a week, correct?
Yeah, I was going to almost every bracket that I could, basically.
Would you say that tournament nerves are still happening super consistently and also at like a very like high intensity level, like in round 1s and 2s, or do you feel like you're mostly okay, and then when you get to the later sets, it's more serious or more scary because you might be fighting a bracket demon or a top 8 or like a top 8 player or like a high seeded player?
Yeah, I guess in the past few months, I haven't really broken past round 1 or round 2. Like I've been pretty normally in O2, or unless someone's like visiting the area or something.
Okay.
I personally don't think I feel nervous. Like I feel like when I'm playing, I'm looking for habits and sort of like trying to gather the information. But when my friends are watching, they tell me that there are times when like I drop things that I would never drop.
Yep. I was just gonna get to that. I was about to say, we're kind of like going through a diagnosis process here, but that's totally fine. I feel like we were going to get to the point of execution, because it's like, okay, if you know as much as you know, or as much as you claim that you know, and I'm not trying to like call you out or anything, because I'm trying, right. I want to agree with you. I feel still that Peach is letting you down, because if you're dropping combos or dropping confirms, and your opponents are living to 170 and you kill them with some YOLO forward tilt that makes no sense, or a side B, and it's like, okay, well, had you played some other character that could have upbeat out a shield or had a back throw or a dash attack that just killed, like hers can eventually, but still, if you had a move like that, all of a sudden you're a 10 times better player without actually being a better player. You just switched your tools. Right. That's where I was also asking about nerves as well too, because if you are someone who's crushing it in friendlies and then you go into a tournament and now you're completely shook, then that's something that you can try to get over if you genuinely are able to play your character across the board. But still, even with for myself, if I'm like, I'll say if I'm fighting a character that is horrendously down bad, terrible for Falco, then I'll play Pyramithra or I'll play Young Link. Because the point of the game, or sorry, the point of competitive play is to win. There's a lot of players that have a massive ego or a ton of pride to say, I can solo main this character and beat everyone in this tournament. And in some cases, if you can do it, then you can do it. But if you're not that guy, then you're not that guy. Not to say that it'll never happen, but once again, MKLeo or Tweak or Spargo, all of them switch characters all the time. Right. And I can honestly say they don't switch characters because it's funny or just for fun or because they felt like it or they're bored. It's like they play a certain character because they genuinely believe that this is how they're going to win, right? Tweak will play Wario or Roy or Wolf or Diddy or Sephiroth or whoever else. Not because it's like, I haven't played them in a while, let's see how it goes. It's never ever that. When it's high level like that, it's never for that reason. It's because I think like wholeheartedly this is the only way I'll win. I'm not suggesting that you have a giant roster like that either. I'm just saying, like, for yourself, if you feel like, okay, like, I have to work 10 times harder than someone as Peach, and I have to do my float cancels perfectly, and I have to make sure I'm not messing up my combos and full hopping accidentally and flying right past them. They're now surviving because I had most of the combo, but I didn't get the last hit, like a short hop fair. You full hop fair and jumped over top of them or something. You full hop nair by accident after a crazy float cancel combo, and all they have to do is just up you out a shield. This isn't fair. It's like, well, welcome back to my first point. Right? It's super rough that's how the game is, but like that's how the game is. If the game was genuinely fair, everyone would have to play the same character. Right? And it'd end up being like a duel. Everyone has to play Lucina. And it's not even Smash Ultimate, it's just Lucina Ultimate. Right? But unfortunately, or I guess to a degree, thankfully even, that's not how it is. But for yourself, I'm thinking a character that has less execution for killing might be more suited for you, until of course you feel comfortable and you can still play Peach on the back burner. But like I said, Peach Min, there's no shot, bro. You just can't, you can't get in. You float at all, and you're getting ram armed immediately. Like you can't air dodge out of float either, right? You have to like stop floating and then air dodge, come back to the ground. Like you can't float, air dodge while floating and stay and float after it. Like it just ends. So now you're either a grounded Peach, which is trash, or you're a short hopping, full hopping Peach, like a sword character, which is also trash because like I said, if you float at all, you're getting hit. And that's not you being outplayed. That's the mechanics of your character. Like the number one most important part of your character's entire kit is her float. Maybe turn-ups, but most definitely float. And you can't even use it. Same thing with Samus. Homing missile. Closes his eyes and goes for homing missile. Doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, it's gonna go right for you. It's just not, it's not fair. It's not fair. So instead of having to deal with that, like this is where a lot of players, like I said, they get really down on themselves and be like, wow, I'm terrible at this game, or this is like BS, or like whatever it might be. That's not the truth. I think you should actually just try a character that doesn't have to deal with those things, and then also stick it out long enough to actually notice it, or actually to believe it. Because I can say for myself, with regards to doing content creation and putting out guides for as many characters as I have, every single time a new DLC character has come out, I've grinded the character and figured out as much as I possibly can and put out guides on them and actually tried to learn them for weeks at a time or months at a time, and I didn't play any other character. That's it. I play, like, here's what I do. I play Falco while coaching. Everything else I was playing Steve or Kazuya or Terry or Byleth or Joker or Pyramith or whatever it might be, to learn the character and see what they can actually do, and then come up with the combos and the play style and all these things with them. So unless you're planning to, I guess, never play Smash ever again, or you're going to be stopping very, very soon, you definitely do have the time and the capacity to pick up a character and get them to the level of your Peach, if not even further than that, and have success with them.